Looking for an affordable home in Barrie? How can I find an affordable home in Barrie? Those are great questions. We put a video together, guys, for you to watch. Hit the subscribe, the bell, and what's the other one? Comment? Okay. But before you do that, hit the subscribe button and that notification bell so you can be up to date on all our latest content. Don't forget to leave comments as well. Maybe you think that there's other areas that there's some affordable housing in Barrie. Would love to hear your comments. One of the great options that you have as a first-time home buyer is to look at something that is a duplex. What is a duplex? Well, generally it is an apartment up, say on the main floor, and an apartment in the basement. How will that help? Well, let's say for an example it's a one-bedroom apartment. You're probably going to get somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,500 to $1,700 a month in income. If it's a two-bedroom, you might get upwards of $1,800 to $2,000. That's going to help you offset your costs for heat, hydro, taxes, etc. Yes, they will use a bit more of your water, but it's a great way to get into a house and to make it more affordable. The other part that you need to know is that if it's a legal registered second suite in the city of Barrie, you can use part of that income to qualify for your mortgage. So if you could only qualify for $500 as an example without a basement apartment, now with it you may be able to get up to $600,000, $650,000, now being able to get you into a house when you couldn't before.
When looking for affordable homes, one topic that always gets brought up is power of sales, or the banks. People often have the, in my opinion, misconception that because it's a power of sale, it's going to be more affordable than,
Or a great deal.
Or a great deal, exactly. This isn't the case. The bank legally has to get as much money as they can for that property. So when it comes to looking for affordable homes, do not exclusively look for powers of sales or anything like that. Just look at a price range. The price is like number one thing. Unless you're adding in, the income from a duplex or something like that, end of the day, it comes down to your price.
So Power of Sales 101, here's a quick crash course for you. So what is power of sale? Power of sale generally means that, let's say for an example, you paid $600,000 for the house and you've stopped making your mortgage payment. The bank has a right to take your property back. You go through a proper process, they send you notice. It doesn't just happen, you stop paying today, they take your house tomorrow. There is a process for that. But the difference is the person that owns the house is still responsible for that debt. So that's why they do what is called a power of sale. The bank has a responsibility to get the most amount of money for the house. You see on TV where guys walk in and they just pay cash and they flip the houses, they get it for 50 cents on the dollar. That's a foreclosure. When there's a foreclosure, there's equity in the property. In most cases, when you're dealing with the power of sale, let's say for an example, someone paid $600,000, as I said, put 10% down, they haven't paid their mortgage, they're going to be owing pretty close to $600,000. In most cases, those mortgages are insured by the bank. So if you were to take an investment of $600,000, like sell someone a house with $600,000 and take $60,000 for a down payment, would you take that chance with somebody? So that's why they have insurance. So all of the money when you buy a house that's insured goes into a pool. So the bank is guaranteed to get their original investment back, but they do have to get the most amount of money for the house. So you see a power of sale. What generally happens is there's appraisals done on the property, which gives the value, and it's the value of the present condition. So if it's $600,000, that's $600,000 with the holes in the walls, with the cracks in the windows, that sort of thing. It's not a great deal. You're better off if you can find that person prior to them going power of sale. They're more willing that you're going to get a deal out of it.
Assuming you don't have a crystal ball, how are you supposed to find out what houses potentially might end up being a power of sale? If you're ideally supposed to catch them before they're a power of sale, well, how do you do that? Ideal situation, you have realtors. Dad and I certainly do know the different pockets in Barrie specifically that have affordable housing. And we can find out what your price is, go around, and you just knock doors. You never know what someone's situation is. You can go up, knock a door. Hey, here's our budget. Would you be interested in selling? Or what would that number be if you want to sell? Ideally, in a neighborhood, you want to be the least expensive house, right? Because every other house in the neighborhood is bringing the value of yours up. If you are the biggest house on the neighborhood, you pay a pretty penny, but every other house is dragging you down. So find that affordable house in a tasty little neighborhood, and you have yourself a little nugget for investments. In terms of affordable housing overall, it's really the best you can do is either just going around finding the areas, knocking doors, and hoping to find something before a sale. Obviously, the people that are in those homes are in there because they could afford it. Maybe they've been in there long enough and they're looking for a change. Who knows? But between your duplexes, being able to use portion of the rent for your application for a mortgage, and just finding something more off-grid in terms of the MLS are your two best bets for finding affordable homes in Barrie. General rule of thumb when you're looking for affordability in Barrie, you're probably going to want to look for spaces that are, or builds in general, that are 10 years old, less than. Often have newer townhouses put in, so your affordability is going to be just by default better. You've also got areas in like West Barrie, like Letitia Heights. You've got just different pockets here and there. You've got Lionsgate in the northeast. I believe we were actually on Lionsgate earlier in a video, so you can take a look there. But yeah, there are, I'd argue almost every single pocket in Barrie has affordable housing. There are some exceptions, obviously, but for the most part, you can find different pockets that have those affordable homes that you're able to get into and just get everything started. At the end of the day, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that we don't need more affordable housing in Barrie. Like, it's a fact we do. It exists. You can find it, but we do need more. And unfortunately, until that happens, these are the best ways that we found to find the properties. While building affordable houses in Barrie is still something that needs to be done, you always need more affordable housing. There are pockets and ways to find said houses. If you're coming from Toronto or you're looking for your first home and feel, it's all doom and gloom, it's not. You have options, as we've mentioned. So if you have any questions about any of them or how, you might get started in this process, please feel free to reach out. We will answer any and all questions that you have.
Barrie!
Which areas are affordable? Which ones aren't?
This one right here
That's
is
the affordable
affordable.
one?
That's affordable Barrie. Can't afford that.